tell me a little bit about yourself.
Well, currently I'm a stay-at-home mom,
Right.
but I have been a leasing agent and stuff like that. Also, I actually went to real estate class like 6 years ago, but never took the test.
Right.
And because I got a job somewhere else and just never ended up taking it.
Yeah.
No.
So you do property management. You've done property management. Okay. Yeah. Awesome. And so stay-at-home mom, looking to get back in and figuring out what exactly what you want to be. Okay. And so what I want to do tonight, and I don't think there's anybody else jumping in here. I'll see somebody pop up on Zoom. Like we all our setup here, like I'm always like my back's good to the camera. So Jewish role, like casual, this kind of conversation about like real estate, what your goals are, and also I also like paint a really clear picture about what it costs to be in real estate. It's one of the easiest industries to get into as far as like starting to get your test done, but then there's a lot of recurring costs and stuff as well. And so I always like for people to really understand what those are, so that if they decide to pursue those, they know what they're getting into. My goal is that when you walk away tonight, that we get those questions answered, what the next steps are. Okay, so a little bit about me. My name is Elena Rowe. I am the CEO team leader here at Canopy Tuscaloosa. My background, I spent about a decade in commercial property management. Left that career. I wound up working with Tricia and Jason Gray at the Gray Group, from everything from building out their systems for their transactions to doing sales to director of operations. And I'm just stepped into the team leader role last week. So, thanks. December was a whirlwind, to say the least, and our team leader decided he was going to take another opportunity. So, just kind of stepping in. But I actually, the good thing is I used to do these classes for him. So,
I watched some of the YouTube videos on it, and I watched the video about the fees and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna lie, whenever I found out that it would be like $2,000 to join the Tuscaloosa Realtors, I was like,
and that's the part we want to make sure people pay. And two, like, if you want to do this, it's also like, how do we set you up for success? I watch a lot of people who don't understand that part, or maybe haven't set through this and understand what those fees and recurring costs are. And then they like, oh, I couldn't nursing today and I'm going to go be a real estate agent. Great. Did you set aside some money? Because here's the thing, in real estate, and when you're doing sales, what I do today does not show up for 30, 60, or 90 days in the future. Okay, so coming in, it's also you're a 1099 contractor, and so there's not a salary or an hourly pay that comes along with it. You're generating your own revenue, and you don't get paid until something closes. And so I always want to make sure anybody getting into this fully understands what that looks like. So I'm going to jump in. I got a couple of things on here. Let me close this screen out real quick. That I want to talk about. So this is just kind of overall. There's a book called Cash Flow Quadrants. Not going to lie, it's not a super exciting read. It's definitely a business read. Have you ever heard of Rich Dad Poor Dad, the book?
No, ma'am.
All right, so Rich Dad Poor Dad, the guy who wrote that, Robert Kiyosaki, he wrote this thing about cash flow quadrants. He's very brilliant when it comes to finance and business, and he's one of these people who, I want to say, like, if I want to compare him to somebody, I don't want to say to Dave Ramsey because he's not just like an all cash guy, but he talks a lot about investments and how to make your money work for you. And so one of the things that he's really big on, and he talks about, is in cash flow quadrants, is there's how do we go from being entrepreneurial to being purposeful to being a business owner and investor. Okay, so and we call that E2P. So how do you go from entrepreneurial to creating passive income? Okay, because that's what we all really want to do. We may not always know what that means. And so there's the employees, and when we think about people who are out working, you have an employee, and that means you have a job, right? You have a time you show up, Somebody's putting money in their pocket, like they're writing you a check for doing a job. Okay. And then people kind of move into this, what we call this S section of self-employed, meaning you own a job. Okay. Let me explain this a little bit deeper. When you become self-employed, and let's use real estate, you become a real estate agent. Who meets with the client? You do. Who puts the sign in the yard? You do. Who goes to get the key copies? You do. Who sends out the names of the home inspectors? You do. You are essentially self-employed, okay? And when you're self-employed, you often wear a lot of different hats, okay? So how do we go, people look at it, it's like, hey, I want to be this business owner. This is going to be so glamorous. And then they get in and it's like, oh, I gotta do this. I gotta do this. I gotta do this. And so what they really typically want to do is they want to be able to move from, yes, I'm self-employed, I own my business, but how do I become like this business owner, and I build systems and hire people to work for me, and I am financially benefiting from the business. And here's the biggest thing between here and moving here. When you're here on this side, both of these, you have to physically show up, right? You have to walk in the door and you're doing the work. When you move to this side of this quadrant, the business is going to work for you. If you set it up right and you bring in some of the right people, then if you're on vacation, that business should still be running itself because you've built systems and put people in place. And that's what we call leverage, is leveraging that out. And then the ultimate goal is to be in this place of an investor where money works for you. So maybe it's an investment property, and if you buy that today, and you put a renter in it, and you have a mortgage on it, and that renter is paying the mortgage, you may even cash flow a little bit off of it. So let's say, for instance, you buy a house as an investor and you put a renter in it. Let's say the mortgage payment is $750 on it, but you're getting $950 in rent every month. Okay. Well, that $750 is paying the principal and the interest, and then your cash flow is $200. But over time, the goal would be that house gets paid off, and now that $950 is all passive income. And you have an asset as well, and it's just creating this passive income. And so when you get into real estate, and when we start having these conversations, is overall, most people are coming from here, but they're wanting to be somewhere over here. Okay, and so we're going to help get you from here to here, and ultimately, the cool thing about Keller Williams is a lot of brokerages do a really good job of teaching you how to go and do sales. They don't all teach you how to be a business owner. And so one of the things that we do through a lot of our classes and training are actually teaching you how to be a business owner. And ultimately, we want you to live a life by design, because we don't all work to work. We work to take care of our families, or we work to have a life, we work to be able to go on vacation, to get married, whatever that is. And so most of us want to be somewhere over here. Okay. So tell me real quick, why are some reasons real estate is attractive to y'all?
Honestly, because I'm a mom, I like the flexibility that you kind of have. I mean, obviously it's not going to be as flexible in the beginning, but maybe every time it would be more flexible than just your average 9 to 5 or
It looks different.
yes, it looks different.
Yeah.
And to me, with my job, I like things to kind of change up. And with this, you have different houses, different people you work with, and it's just a different change of scenery.
Yeah. It may be the same contracts, but I promise every transaction is different. It has its own life to it. So definitely. So why are some reasons you're attracted to real estate?
So a lot of it has to do with my family's history. Like my family, I don't think anybody in my family, for what I know, has made more than $45,000 a year in salary. So I want to break that I want to be different in my family. I don't want to work the 9 to 5. I don't want to just work plant it up. I just want to create generational wealth for my kids, and I hope by doing a job like this, like commission incentive, that the amount of work I put in represents how much money I'm making instead of me working for someone else's company. I work all day and I still get the same pay, even though I'm going above and beyond for that pay.
Absolutely. So, and we hear things that are similar to that all the time. And so the main reason a lot of people get into real estate quicker that I hear a lot are people want in because of freedom, flexibility, and wealth. Okay. And here's the thing, and here's why I think this class and like plugging in is so important, is most people that like we hear these frequently, right? Most people enjoy the freedom and the flexibility so much they never realize the wealth that this industry can create. And it can definitely create this legacy when it comes to wealth. Like you can build wealth and in so many different ways, whether it's sales or through investment opportunities, flipping. There's so many different ways to create income through real estate. And of course, going through the licensing and everything is that first step, and we'll dive in there. So, tell me from y'all's perspective. We'll start with you actually. Getting into this and having that freedom and flexibility, and then also being able to create income for your family. What does that mean for your family? What does that look like?
No, like financial security. Hopefully paying for my kids' college, buying cars when they turn 16.
Yeah.
I have a special needs son, so like paying for doctor's visits and paying for extra help with him, just it allows me to take care of my family. And we bought a house from Lauren and she sold ours, and so like we have a really large mortgage now, so it'd be paying for our house.
Yeah. Well, I imagine too, if you have a special needs child, like that freedom and that flexibility of schedule, it's probably very important instead of like doctor appointments in the state. And so, I like to think of what I do. Yes, I have my job. I have things I have to do as part of my role. But for me, it's about changing people's lives. Like how can I help people build these businesses that it changes their life and it changes the legacy they're leaving for their kids. That's what I'm very passionate about. That's why I do what I do. And I get to watch people do that. Like I recently brought in an agent from a different brokerage who done a few transactions but not even me. And I was like, look, I remember it's going to change your life. And he closed more deals in the month of December. He's with the group. I think he started them in October, November. He closed 3 deals at his previous brokerage in about 3 years. It's not a great track record, by the way. I would tell him that if he's sitting there, by the way. We've had this conversation. It's no secret. He closed 5 deals in December.
Wow.
So in his first 60, 90 days with them, he's closed more deals than in that short span of time than he had the entire time he was at his old brokerage. And the difference is the training and the tools that we give our agents. They do that. And the other day, he closed this big deal. I saw him in the hall and I was like, hey, his name's Jared. I said, hey, Jared. I said, congrats on closing the big deal this month. I said, I told you it's going to change your life. How do you feel? And he's like, it's happening. And so that, like, I get goosebumps thinking about that. So, and a lot of what we do is that training and everything. So, so building that legacy and that wealth and breaking that ceiling of earning at 45,000.
Yeah.
What does that mean to you? What does that mean to for your future?
So like, not to get emotional or anything, but
emotions are fine. I'll probably cry on you at some point. So you're good.
So I didn't have my father in my life. It's just been me and my mom, and we've been rocking it out. So I've seen my mom work 2 jobs just so I can be fit. And my grandparents have done the typical 40-hour jobs, just getting by. And I don't want that for my kids. I don't want them to see, like, my mom wasn't able to go to a lot of my games because of her working, and I play football sports. I mean, I just want to be the best father and man I can be to my family and give back. So having an opportunity like this means the world to me. So just being, giving back to my family and just setting everyone up in their life. That's my main goal.
So, and I love that. I love that. I truly believe this is a company that raises the lid on people to be able to do those things. So you're talking about like your kids. I think this is a generational wealth. Like one of the things that I came into this, like I have a vision board with certain things on it I wanted to do. And like my big why is that because I had a ton of student debt, I went to school, and it has awarded me a lot of things. Don't get me wrong, a lot of opportunity, but I had to dig out of that hole. And my daughter, I was like, I want her to come out. I want her to have opportunity. I want her to come into life with zero debt because I don't want her to be in the negative. I want her to be able to be moving forward when she walks out my door. Like that's a big deal for me. And through this and work and showing up and doing the things, I was able to buy an investment property that's hers. It's her college fund, and she calls it her college house. She's 4. And we call it her college house. She won't actually live in this house probably, but it is intended to be passive income and equity that through that house, by the time she graduates from high school, that house will fund college.
That's amazing.
And so I was not able to get there or even think that big until God put people in my life to help me think that big. Like I had this dream, right? But I had no idea how to get there. And God put people through this organization in my life to help me not only figure out how to do it, but hold me accountable to it. And there's a picture, it's not hanging on my wall yet, so there's 3 offices, but there's a picture of my daughter in the sometime in this where we bought her investment property. And so I won't, like, because I've had those opportunities, is why I'm saying here with y'all today, is so that when people review those things, like, help you facilitate and figure out how to do it. Okay, so kind of jumping forward a little bit, I want to get into the nitty gritty of the details. All right, so let's talk about money. And this is, I can break some of this down a little bit more, but I want to talk to you about a little bit about how commissions work and the cost of doing business and all those things. So let's say you want to make $100,000, right? I hear all different numbers. I hear I want to make $20,000. I want to make $40,000. I want to make 100, 150, whatever. Everybody's dreams are different. So I like nice round numbers in this class. So let's say the 100,000 is someone's income goal. Like I want to take home $100,000 next year. Okay. And by the way, that's doable. Okay. And I have just a placeholder for a cost to run a business. So I have $40,000 a year because when you're an independent contractor, you also have to generate the people who are going to write the contracts to buy the house, right? And where do you meet them? You got to go find. Some of them are people you already know. That's what we call our database, our sphere of influence. But some of them we got to go and find them. Okay, so have you ever used like Zillow or Realtor?
Yeah.
All right. So when you go and click on the pictures on Zillow or Realtor, what happens? Or a new car, even. You start clicking through the pictures. About the 4th picture, now it'll pop up what we call a lead capture form where it's like, hey, you can continue looking at pictures if you give me your name and your email and your phone number, right? Well, those cost money. Yeah. So when those come up, that's what we call a lead capture. Some of those you generate for yourself through social media or websites or different things. So if you get a postcard in the mail, like this listing just sold, who's paying for that? The agent, okay? Because that's their marketing for their business. And those postcards, the goal is that we can track what they do, right? And if you call me and said, hey, I was on house. All right, great, Ashley, just curious, how did you hear about me? Oh, I got this postcard in the mail and figured you're the neighborhood expert. Fantastic, that's what you also said. I'm gonna ask that question because I wanna know the return on my investment, where I'm spending my money, that I'm getting it back. And that's something,
Yeah.
that's a whole other class, but there's costs to doing business, right? And to generate it. So I like to take this number because this is the goal of what you wanna take home for the family, plus this. So I'm gonna add these up because at the end of the day, when I'm doing sales and stuff, because I want to take this home, I need to actually produce more to cover this cost as well. Okay, so what you need to gross 100,000, you're gonna need to gross 120. Okay. So I add those up because this is a concept called profit first. And that means I want to determine what profits I want to make and then what it's going to take for me to get there. So I want to do my profit and then I want to add on top of it. Okay. So the average price of a home in Tuscaloosa, this is actually changing. We update my slide. This time last year it was around 200,000. Now it's about 230. So, but we're going to do the numbers off of the nice round 200K. So a typical commission when you sell a house is around 6%. Okay, 2 people get paid in that transaction. So if you are a homeowner and you're selling your house, and I call up Ashley to come and list my house, and we work out commissions, the average commission is around 6%. Well, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put that sign in the yard and I'm representing you as the seller, but that buyer has the opportunity for representation too, and we're gonna take that 6% and split it. So the listing agent, I'm paying for the marketing and everything, and that 3% is going to me, and then 3% is going to the agent who brings the buyer for the home. Okay, so usually that's typically gets split down. Now it's real nice when you get those types of transactions. That can happen too. So if I take the 140,000, so if I take the typical commission of 6%, the listing is 3%, buyers 3%, which when you take that and you multiply it out by the 200,000, that's giving you a commission of roughly around $6,000. Okay, so if I take this 140 right here and I divide it by the average commission of $6,000, that means I need to sell, and I round up, I need to sell 24 houses to take this home to my family. And it's covering the cost of my business. All right, so let me put this in perspective. The average agent sells between 8 and 12 homes a year. Okay. And then you have people who do way more than that. I think Lauren sold around like 70 something this past year. We have agents in the office who sold over 200 in here. John Rainbow sold like 240. I don't know his exact number right off because we're still calculating the end of the year stuff. I was thinking around 240 something. So yeah. And he teaches classes, on Thursday on how to do that. First of all, I would feel like it's insane. What he does is pretty crazy. But kind of going into this 40,000, I want to break that down. Like the cost to run business. And you don't have to have 40,000 coming out. You're going to take commissions and learn to set aside certain parts to invest back into your business. But I want y'all to understand where I come up with that. So that like 12,000 of that, so roughly $1,000 a month, I'm thinking is an agent coming in. By the time you put aside some money for marketing expenses, cell phone, your gas, your mileage, by the way, those are tax office for you. Refer to your CPA for that, for guidance on that. But you know, you're gonna put some money in to get a return. Plus, every time you go on an appointment, it's your gas money, it's your mileage, it's the wear and tear on your car. You have this is your business. So much of the business is right here. Like I remember one day coming home and the screen probably broken too, so drop the phone a lot. I remember coming home one day, I was doing sales. That's all I was doing, sales. And my phone was all janky because I drop it all the time. And my husband's like, "I'm gonna go get on your phone." I was like, "I just don't want to spend $1,000 on your phone. Like, I just don't want to fool with it." And quite frankly, I don't want to spend 3 hours on the phone store. It's my work site there. And he looks like he goes, "Elaine, that phone is how you, like, that's your business. That's how you pay bills. aren't, like, go get the phone. Like that's how you do what you do. And so, you know, when I think about it, a lot of people don't think about those everyday expenses that come along with it too. Okay, and then this is where I want to dig a little bit deeper. So when you come into a brokerage and you start selling, there's the commission. We talked about that 6,000 number, but there's other things built into that as well. I'll get us a whiteboard up here and really do some math in just a second. So the thing to know is when you come in, you're going to pay a split to the company. Okay, and part of that is something we call, so 20%. I've got this 28,000. I'll break this down for y'all in a second. 20% goes to the brokerage. That's how we run this place. That's how we take care and pay for our staff and everything. And then we have a royalty that we pay to Keller Williams International for the use of the franchise of Keller Williams and all the tools that we get through them as well. I'm going to break this down for y'all in just a second. Actually, let me escape out of here and pull my whiteboard up so I can do some math for y'all. All right, so that 20, let me break this down. That 25 or 28,000. Okay, so 25,000 of that is what we call company dollar. Okay, so this right here is going back to Keller Williams Tuscaloosa. All right, before I terrify you with $25,000, this is a maximum, like a maximum, not a minimum. So if you only close one deal and you only pay them $500, we are not coming to you to strike a check for $24,500. So again, we don't get paid unless you get paid, and you don't get paid unless you close the deal. Okay, that's how that works. So this, think of this as local. All right, this is what's happening to my pen. This is local. Don't tell me it went out. All right. Oh. There we are. Okay. So this is local. All right. Royalties are 3,000 of that. Okay. And this goes to what we call Keller Williams Realty International. So that's our franchise and all those good things. All right. Again, these are maximums, not minimums. All right. So let me show you what that looks like. Let's take that $200,000 sale. We'll grab out my handy dandy calculator. So y'all bear with me. All right. So let's say you have that $200,000 sale. You get a 3% commission on it, which is going to be the $6,000. Okay. You're going to take that 6,000 and you've got this 80-20. So on this is split. Put it over here. 80-20. Agent gets 80%. And that goes to the KW. Okay. So out of this 6,000, I'm going to take 1,200 of that, which is at 20%. Okay. Is going back here to your local office and all those good things. Okay. And then I haven't lost you yet, have I? So this royalty is paid at a 6% rate out of a check. Okay. So it's $180 out of this transaction. That is going to Keller Williams. So when you're walking away, your commission check is somewhere around here. Does that make sense? You with me? So like you're not paying. It is. Like I'd rather people know what they're getting into. They're not. But at the end of the day, like let's say you only had this closing this year. That's what you're paying in. Not that. Not everybody gets that. Okay. But here's the cool thing: is if you get licensed and you check out other brokerages, and most of them don't have a cap. Okay, so you may be paying 20% in on every single transaction and it don't stop. Some of them you're paying 30 or 40% in and it don't stop. So what we allow our agents to do, because we're agent centric, is we cap it right there. So let's say y'all join today. Your anniversary date would be February 1. Okay. And this starts over every year. Okay. But on February 1, you start paying in with all your transactions. And let's say August, you've paid in and you've capped what we call cap. Okay. From August until January 31st, every commission you have, you keep that.
Well, that gives you a goal to really want to hit that.
Yeah, and I mean, some people do, some people don't, right? Or sometimes they don't their first year, they do their second or their third year. Okay. So I think that is, hoping I can take off my scribbles there. That's why these numbers, we put them up here, they look really giant, right? But if I didn't show you that and I'm like, oh, you're paying in 20% for the company every single month and it never ends, you don't realize how much that actually translates to. And I met with an agent yesterday who is somewhere else and they're only been $90,000 on the table because they don't have a cap. Yeah. So that's why we do it. And I know it seems like a lot, but you're paying in some percentage. And that's where that comes into play.
Does the cap, has it ever changed? Do you know of? Or
Different market centers have different caps depending on how many number of agents they have in that market center. Ours has not changed in the entire time of it.
Okay.
And if it did change, I would see it going down, not up. By the time you adding in agents, it can potentially drop. I've been here almost 5 years and it's not changed. Okay. I'm not saying it never would, but I don't see it going up. Yeah. So, do you have questions about this? All right, so I'm going to add a layer to it. So I'm going to take this 4620. I want to add something. So here's where KW gets the biggest value is our training. We have training all the time. There is something going on every single week training wise. I have a really cool budget to bring in outside speakers this year as well. We do a lot of different high level sales training. Curriculum and teaching is my heart. So I teach a lot, and our curriculum is really important to me. So, but we have a program called productivity coaching. We launched a new program last year called 0 to 10 million. All right, and what that is a new agent who's never done a transaction will walk in the door, they get coaching and mentoring to take a business from 0 sales to having 10 million in sales volume. Okay, and through that you have a productivity coach, in your first retreat. That's for a year. Like we require all new agents who's never been in the industry to do that for a year. And then your first 3 transactions of that, you're actually partnered with somebody, a transaction partner, and they're essentially a mentor for you. When you're writing all your paperwork, they're helping you negotiate. And those are really important, A, to give you guidance, but so that you have a point person to contact as well, when you're working on these deals, because every deal is going to be different. And until you go through so many, you're going to treat them on the house. Our transaction partners cannot, they have certain requirements for them to qualify to be a partner. They have to close so many transactions before they qualify to be a partner. We have some really awesome transaction partners. So let me explain what that looks like, because there are fees associated with that. Okay. So, our productivity program, which is 1 year, okay, and it's 10%. So it'd be from here. That's 600. And then for the first 3 transactions only is that transaction partner. And then this falls off. And it is Sorry, I really should know these, like have these like ingrained in my head. So during your first year, if you're in that transaction partner, this is 3 transactions, you'd be paying $300 and your PC would be $600 on this particular transaction. So that would be your walkaway. That'd be your gross at the end of the day before taxes. But after 3 transactions, this goes away. And then after a year, that goes away. But the training and counseling you're getting through that is phenomenal. It is a requirement of our contracts that any new agent coming in has to do that program for a year. Do you have any questions about that? And after a year, it goes away. Or you can choose to stay in the program. I'll tell you this, we have some agents, we just launched it like summer, I want to say. We've already, maybe a little longer. We have not had it a year. We've already had agents go through it and build into $1 million business. One just graduated from college, he's 23 years old. He was our very first student. But what it does is it gives you guidance. You're going to get so much information, you feel like you're drinking from a fire hose when you come in. The first 30 days, you're going to be like, oh my God, I love that idea, I love that. You can't implement all of it. They really help you dial it down and tell you exactly what activities you need to be doing to grow your business and grow your database of people. So I was like, people that understand this. Do you have any questions? Is that how do you feel about it? You can be honest. You're not gonna
It is overwhelming.
But just remember, none of that's paid in unless you close a transaction.
No, I want to close all the transactions.
I want to close all the transactions. All right, so I'm going to jump back onto this PowerPoint and we can circle back, and if y'all have questions, we can jump back in. Hold on, where's my mouse? Do y'all see my mouse?
Mm-hmm.
Where are you? There you are. And it's gone again. It's frustrating. I'm like way too close to it. I can't see. All right. All right. So there's those overall KW numbers. So let's talk about the next steps to actually getting your license and what that looks like along the way. So there's the 60-hour pre-license course. Okay. So when you get ready, or have y'all started it? You've done it before.
Yeah, but I've started it again.
And you're doing the Kaplan program that we did. Right. Have you?
No.
Okay, so here's something cool that Kelly Williams launched in November. Is we have a program, and she's actually doing it right now. The pre-licensing course, you can sign up through us and do the class for free. And then it'll prepare you to sit for your state exam when you get finished. So once you complete the 60 hours and that 60 clock hours pre-license course, and you go through, you have a final exam that you take as part of the program, and then you have to do the state exam. So the final exam, you can do it like online with a proctor or go somewhere that has a proctor. The state exam, you have to go to Birmingham to take it, or there's like we don't have a location here, and I don't know why. But and then you have to determine what brokerage you want to hold your license. So once you pass that exam, you're going to be issued what's called a temporary salesperson license. And you can either take it inactive, meaning you can't practice, or you have to determine a brokerage. You have to have a qualified broker to hold that license. Qualified brokers are responsible for you. Okay, you do something that winds up getting in trouble with the real estate commission, so does our broker. So they keep us out of real estate jail. That's how I explain it. You would send off your license for the application. So when you go to take your state exam, when you walk, if you pass it, somebody told me this today and I thought it was funny. They're like, somebody told them like, hey, when you go to take the exam and you walk out of the room, if the printer only prints one page, you didn't pass. But if it prints like 2 or 3 pages, you passed. And that's true. Yeah, and if 3 pages, it'll print out 3 pages, and there are these blue copies. And you would bring those in, but you have to register, get fingerprinted, they do a background check. So I was like, let people know if for some reason you have any discriminating marks on your record, I would call the real estate commission first before you invest all this time and make sure, like, hey, am I good? Or not, because they can walk you through that. You have to provide a copy of your driver's license, a diploma, or its equivalent. Okay, so college degree, a GED, etc. You would be writing out a check to the Alabama Real Estate Commission. So when you get licensed, you're sending in it's a $210 check that goes to the commission, just get your licensing and all that good stuff started. So here's something that's important to note, and this is that $2,000 thing, and I've got these numbers right now. At Keller Williams, we require agents to join the Tuscaloosa Association of Realtors, and here's why. When you join, it's not just Tuscaloosa, it's also Alabama International Association as well, and that gets you into like the MLS system. So if you want to be able to go in and look at houses in the MLS and be able to schedule appointments and have access to key boxes, that's your way in, okay? And also they do a ton of other training and other really cool stuff as well. So, but it is a requirement of ours. There are brokerages out there that help require their agents to go in there. And I'm gonna be honest, we have attorneys who write up our contracts that our formal contracts and everything through the association. They don't have those protections. They're just.
I mean, it seems like they're like really hard themselves. It's how can
They have to call everybody. They don't have I'm gonna tell you from the other side as well. So, because they don't have D-box access and different things. So they're reliant on the agent giving them access, and they don't have all the information. And to me, like when you're an agent, your fiduciary responsibilities to the client, meaning your client's interest comes before your own. And to me, practicing without being a member of the association, you're really not putting your client's best interest in front of your own, because you don't have all the information from the state. But that's my personal opinion. Going the wrong way. After you complete your pre-licensing, you pass your state exam, there's another 30-hour post-license course that you have to do. And then so the way they do it is you take the exam, you're issued a temporary salesperson license. Okay. When that is issued, you can start practicing. Okay. You have 6 months to complete your 30-hour post-license course. If you don't complete it in 6 months, the commission puts you on inactive status until you complete it. And you have it's a total of 1 year, but 6 months you can practice until your 30 hours complete. You don't finish it, they put you on inactive where you can't practice it if you complete it. And after a year, if you don't complete it, then you have to start all over. So you want to get all those things done. And it's all very doable. And then you would pass your post-license final. You don't have to go back and do the same thing on that one, which is pretty nice. Do y'all have any questions about this part?
How long does it take the 60-hour pre-license course? Like, if you had an idea, like.
I'm gonna be honest. I see agents crack it out in 2 weeks. I see agents take a year. You have a year from the time you started.
You're talking about the 30.
No, the 60 hours.
They completed that in 2 weeks.
Yeah, it's 60 block hours. So if you work 40 hours a week and you set that completely aside, and that's all you did, like if you treat it like an 8-hour workday.
I guess because I don't have a book, I'm like writing. I have one of these, and it's like halfway. I'm on unit 3.
Yeah,
and I was like,
it's a lot.
But now I'm like rethinking everything. Like maybe I'm taking too many notes, but
No, I would not. If that's how you learn.
yeah, they give you those little key points to review and stuff. And I'm like, that just isn't enough information. To go back and review
and retain all that. I see people do it in all different amounts of time. I think it just depends on what kind of time you can set aside for it. So I did a 60-hour course for my broker's exam. I was working full time in my job here. I also teach a class at Stillman, or I was teaching one at the time, which took a lot of my time up as well. So I was doing it in the mornings between like 5 and 6:30 in the morning, 5 and 7 in the morning. And It took me about 2 months to do it. But I had to get it done for my students. Like for my students to qualify for something, I had to get my stuff done for them to qualify. So I was like, I gotta get it done. And so I was doing it as much as I could. It took me about, with all that and just giving it about an hour or so a day, it took me about 2 months to do it. So it just depends on how much time you can put in, but it's literally 60 clock hours. It is the thing. So, all right, moving on, just some upfront costs. And we talked about a lot of, these are like your upfront investment costs. Like, hey, I want to get into this game. What's it going to take for me to do that? So the real estate pre-license course, and again, I don't think this will write on here, man. That would be great. The 60 hour. Taryn, who invited you tonight? How did you find out about the class?
I applied on Indeed like
You found it? Oh,
2 months ago.
Mhm.
I got an email from
Trisha?
Nathan.
Okay.
And then I called back because I just recently went from another job. So I was
Okay.
really trying to see how this would work out, and they said to come to this. I think it was I'm sorry, was it Shay?
Shay.
Yeah, that's sent me an email.
Okay, awesome. So Nathan basically opened that door through that ad.
Yes.
So I have this 295 because some people have done, like they choose to do a different course route, but now we're saving you that money. So if you'll email Shay tomorrow to get you enrolled in the real estate school, and she'll send you some emails to get you signed up, that saves you $300 basically. It's gonna save you more too. I mean, just getting you started. But the real estate exam, so this is what you pay to go and sit for your state exam, is $75. So the Alabama Real Estate Commission, when you pass your exam, what you set off for the original license we've already talked about, is $210. This is the hefty one.
Mhm.
This is that upfront investment of joining TAR, or Tuscaloosa Association, and the MLS. And it's give or take. It's roughly around 2,000, give or take. And depending on what time of year you come in, they do prorate based on the calendar year. So, but I always like for people to be aware that that is the heftiest part of getting into the business. But you think about other businesses, like if I want to open a retail shop or had to order stuff, like it's actually pretty nominal to be in business for yourself. The post licensing course, which is not covered as part of the Kaplan, and you can go, there's a bunch of different real estate schools you can do those through. You can do it for Kaplan, CE Shop, different ones. And it's around 200. I don't think that program covers the post license. Do you know?
I didn't see anything.
I don't think it does.
Post license.
Yeah. And then once you pass that and you do your post license, you have to send all the way back to the state. He goes back to the state saying, hey, I completed it. I'm official. And they issue your original. I don't like that. I want it to be like official salesperson license, but it's called the original salesperson license. And then other like ongoing annual agent duties for you to be aware of. And some of this is rolled into this number. Okay, what I'm about to show you. So I got started. This is what I'm going to have to do next year. Okay, so some of this is rolled up in here. The TAR, the renewals around $670 a year. That can fluctuate a little bit depending on the association if they make any changes, but I haven't seen any like major increases to it. E-key, so that's our super key, the blue boxes that go on the front door. When we set an appointment, it works through our phone Bluetooth access. That's $250 a year. And then quarterly, so every quarter you have MLS dues accessing MLS, which is $165. So that hits every quarter. So initial cost, ongoing cost.
Second year.
Yeah, it's second, third, fourth, ongoing. And then like some monthly dues is KW. So we have a KW technology fee. This $70 covers a few different things. One, it gives you access to something called Command. I'm a nerd. It works as, I'm trying to think of a good thing to reference it to. It's basically our customer relation management system. It's where you can take your database, like all the people you know, like you pick up your phone, like this is your first business. I can put all those people in there. Laura can dive deep on this topic, but their mailing addresses, their neighborhoods, and it can do some really cool stuff. It automates a lot of the business for you as well. Like you may already be getting these from Laura. like neighborhood updates. So if I live in, let's say somebody lives in Woodridge, across the street, I can set it up to where they get a neighborhood email every month telling them what's going on in their neighborhood. And it's gonna automatically send it to them and say, hey, this sold, or this is a new pending or sold. But that's important because people want to know what their house is valued at. And so and also they're pretty busy about our neighbors most of the time. And so that's a way to keep up with it. And so this software is owned completely by Keller Williams. Gary Keller, who owns the company, invested about $1 billion of his own money a few years ago because he realized what Zillow was doing to our industry. And he was like, they're basically taking our clients and selling them back to us. And so he's like, I'm gonna go make my own software. And he hired the head of Google to come and build our software.
No.
And we as agents got to have input on it. So that technology fee, that's part of it. But it also covers our insurance. So like what we call E&O insurance, which is errors and omissions insurance, meaning if you write a contract and you screw something up, you got some insurance for to protect you and to protect the broker. And so that's split through about $70 every month as well. So initial and ongoing. Do y'all have any questions, comments? Are you terrified, excited?
Exciting.
Yeah. What's your takeaway from tonight? What's your next step?
My takeaway would be I need to start thinking of like ways to like sell people houses.
Well, I hope that part.
Yeah, it's to me I think that's like why I never even went to the exam, is because I took it from this place in Birmingham, like the person who gives the test in Birmingham. It's like my real estate.
Yeah, my career academy.
Yeah, or something. But I didn't have something like this where I could come to an agency and hear how y'all can help. Yeah, it's just, I was kind of like blinded.
Here's the crazy thing is that people go through the real estate school and they take the test and actually practicing is like what you study. Like there's so much stuff on the state exam that I'm like, oh, the title, that's the title of the job, or that's the lender. They're going to give me advice or information on this. What the real estate exam does not do is teach you how to connect and how to work with people. It's a sales job. They don't teach you how to go out and relate to people and sell to people. And that's what we're here for, is to teach you how to do that part. And that's what most of our classes are. Like how to call someone. What do you say when you're wrong? Okay, I've taught you women, now what? What do I do? That's where we come in.
Yeah, I mean, that's comforting to me. I need all the help I can get.
Yeah, we all can. Don't worry. So we're very learning based. We do a ton of training, and I mean, there's so much training here. You honestly can't even take it all in. So what else? Anything else? Is there anything y'all feel like I didn't answer your question about? I remember thinking like 10 at 2 a.m.
That's how I am. I'll leave here and then I'll think, I should have said that, or
Yeah.
But I'm just more worried about, taking this risk and somehow falling short of not possibly passing the exam. I just feel like it's taking a risk, but I want to take the risk, but it's that part of like that fear of failing. But I just feel like if you guys are a team here, and I want us to see it, you guys want to see me succeed, I feel like we'd be a very good career and something I most definitely want to be a part of.
Yeah. It's definitely a risk, and something I challenge people with is getting into it, knowing like you're not getting picked up a closing, right?
Right.
And a couple days after that is, I will give y'all some homework. I want you to think about, okay, if I do this, can I go 3 months without a paycheck? And if I can't, what do I need to do today so that I can? Like, what do I need to put aside? Or do I continue working and do this work? Like, how can I invest my time? Because it is an investment, and it's an investment yourself. And that whole fear of failure is what I call a limiting belief.
Yeah.
And I also don't want somebody to come in here and not be able to hold out long enough to realize that check because they didn't plan on returning their money aside. Or just walk in and quit their job because I'm going to go be a real estate agent tomorrow and it's going to be all great and wonderful and I'm going to make 6 figures. You can make 6 figures in this business. You can make an insane amount of money in this business. 100%. You get out what you put in. But I also see a lot of agents who didn't plan for that and somewhere around like 3, 4, 5, 6, and they're so close to like things just really popping off, but they didn't plan for it, and they're like, I got to go back to work. And so that's a personal decision, and something that you have to be on your end. Now, I also think that we have this great opportunity through the real estate course and us having that free program to mitigate a little bit of that front end risk. So I would just challenge you to think about what do I need to do next so that I'm set up to go and do this and knock it out of the park.
Yeah, talk about it early on. Before I even got started on taking the class, so
Yeah.
I need to make sure we can do this.
Yeah. So do y'all feel like this answers y'all's questions and maybe clarifies and maybe you need to think through of what's next for y'all?
Okay. I just kind of want to know, while I'm taking the class, the 60-hour real estate class, if I can get in on other trainings throughout here.
Yeah. On our way out, I'll walk you out front. I've got some calendars I'll give you, and while you're working on the test, if y'all want to come and check out some of the classes, just shoot Shay or Lauren a message and say, hey, I really want to check this out, and you can come in and check it out for sure. We got some good stuff on the calendar. So,
Yeah, I think that would be proactive of me.
It'll give you kind of an insight of what you're going to be learning along the way on the side. And I'll tell you too, going into this time, like when I do this every time, here, like ultimately tonight is either I want people to realize what it takes and what the investment is, and people either leave super pumped and are ready to do this and hey, I'm going to go figure out how to do it, or oh, that's not what I want it to be, or it's not what I expected, and that doesn't make sense for me. Before they go and invest time and money, the goal of tonight is to help you avoid either of those headaches and go to church anymore. So, and I hope I've accomplished that. So, all right. Well, if y'all don't have any other questions, Shay is a great point of contact, and so is Warren. If you don't have any questions, or you want to email Shay to get you started on the real estate stuff.
Okay, sounds great.
All right. Awesome. I appreciate y'all. Let me walk y'all out and grab those calendars for you.